Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for hitting that play button for another episode of the Heady Coleman podcast, where I am on a mission, ladies and gentlemen. I am on a mission to encourage 1,000,000 teachers weekly. That can be in all sorts of ways, but one of the ways that I love to be able to encourage teachers by sharing the stories of teachers, by sitting down having conversations with teachers and those who support teachers in local schools. Today, I have my friend. We're friends now, okay?
Oh yeah, messed up.
Erin Patton. Did I say that right?
Yes, Erin Patton.
Erin Patton. Now, Erin, I know you as a speaker and a social media director for Relate, then Educate.
Yes.
And so that's who I have on the episode with me today, and I'll let Erin tell more about herself. But Erin, I'm so grateful to have you today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. This is actually my first podcast to be a guest of. I've been doing podcasts for about 1.5 years now, but I have not been a guest of one. So this is my first one.
Oh my goodness! Well, I'm so great. You look great too. I can tell. Like, oh, she knows. When you popped up on the screen, I was like, oh, she knows what she's doing. Of course. Yes. She's ready to roll. No instructions for her, anything. Now, do y'all do most of your podcasts in house, or do y'all do most of them like this?
We do half and half because we're both in Tulsa, the Tulsa area, and so we have, oh my goodness, just it is like an endless pool of amazing teachers just at every single school, at every turn that you go to. And so we do a lot of our interviewing of teachers in person, but then we also get connected to so many people that are out of the Tulsa area. And so we do probably half of our interviews in person and half of them recording them.
Awesome. Now, you were in the classroom for 15 years?
Yes.
Correct?
Right.
And you were elementary.
Yes, my babies. I love it.
Now, are you still now, based on what I understand, you're no longer teaching, right?
Correct.
So did you transition out to do this kind of work?
Yes. After 15 years, it was like such a hard decision to make, but it was time for me, just my personal journey and everything that was going on in my personal life. I needed a change. And unfortunately, that meant leaving the classroom, which I never thought I was going to do. But very soon after leaving, I got hooked up with Rick Holmes with Relate and Educate, and we've just kind of been flying ever since then. I will say though, I can't stay out of the classroom forever. I've been subbing now because I've just been missing it so badly. And so I've been subbing a couple days a week whenever I have the availability to. And it's filling my heart. Subbing is so different than having your own classroom. But
okay, that's what I was about to ask you. I was going to ask you, like, what are the big differences between subbing and having, from the day that you walk in the classroom as a sub versus the day you walk into having one day as a teacher? Like, what are some of the differences?
Oh, huge differences, because my big thing and teachers' big thing is building relationships and community in your classroom and with your students. And when you're just showing up the first time that they see your face that day, there's no relationships built already. There's no community that you have formed with your class, And so it's just kind of, I don't know. And so much of my classroom management strategies are based on building connections and forming relationships. And so when I don't have those, I'm just kind of like, okay, teaching is really hard. I don't know what to do in these situations. So yes, just not having those established things that are so very important to me. That is the hard thing, I think.
Yeah, and I guess, based off the name of you all's organization, Relate, then Educate. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming Rick started this organization, and then you came along, like you said. Was it something where you was like, oh, that's my vibe too. That's the way I like to go about doing things too. I can relate to what Rick is coming from. Yes. And then you was like, let me be a part of this.
Yes, that's a lot how it was. I actually taught Rick's 2 children in elementary school. So I taught them in 3rd grade, and then one of them I got to teach in 3rd and 5th grade. So I knew his kids, knew his family so well. So anyway, when he was starting Relate and Educate, he reached out to me to be interviewed for an internet project that he was doing. And that was the first time, and I was still in the classroom at that time. And that was the first time I heard of Relate and Educate. And so I was like, oh, cool, definitely. And then so right after that year of school was my last year. And so then like 2 days after the last day of school, I went to be interviewed by Rick. And it was more of a conversation. We were just talking and sharing our heart. And by then I hadn't done a lot of the healing that I've done now. And so I was pretty raw. I was pretty open and raw and exposed with, just why I needed to quit, why I needed to leave the field. And so we talked, and it was like our hearts were on the exact same page. Like we couldn't, everything we were saying was just like, yes, yes, that's how I feel. That's how I feel. And so, anyway, the next day he called and he was like, hey, you want to be a part of this? And I did not even hesitate. And I was like, yes, I want to do everything that we can. Let's do this together. I'm in. And so that's kind of how it got started.
Now, how long has Relate and Educate been around?
Now it's been, goodness, 2.5 or 3 years now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, and kind of tell everybody who's listening just a little bit about Relate and Educate, the mission, and all
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Relate and Educate. Our purpose is to amplify the voices of teachers. So we do that in lots of different ways. We have a podcast where we interview teachers and people in the education field because we want to get their voices out there. We so often are hearing politicians' voices and community members' voices of what they think about education and educators. And we're not actually hearing the voices of educators. And so that's what we want to do, is amplify the voices of teachers. And so I just have it sitting next to me, actually, our Relate Then Educate book, which is wonderful. And it is a big group of stories and teachers who contributed to this. Is all teacher voices telling, impactful moments in their teaching, how we can relate this to our classrooms and stuff. So we amplify voices through our book. We do big conferences and workshops that are educating teachers, using teachers that are in the classroom or former teachers who have been in the classroom for a whole bunch of years, not just like 2 or 3 years and they're teaching you, but people who have been in the classroom for, over a decade, who have really been there and done the work. And so we get them to come and teach our workshops. And we also do some events called Teachers Night Out, which are super fun. And it is just like a fun party that we're getting our teachers together from all over. We have one in Oklahoma City, Fayetteville, and Tulsa. And so it's like teachers from all over that area, different districts from different places. They come together and we're all together that night. And we're hearing the same speakers. We're laughing at the same jokes. And it's so fun. So all of our things are just to get teachers out there and just to love on teachers, because unfortunately they don't get loved on nearly often enough.
That's so cool. Yeah, I was hoping the last one was October 17th, I believe, in Oklahoma
Yes.
City.
Yes.
I'm in Guthrie,
Oh yeah.
right outside of Oklahoma City. I wanted to come and greet for you all because I love to greet. People hire me to greet. You go to
Yes.
headygreets.com, and so people help me come out and greet for them. And I was like, I want to go greet for this event. Then I had to go
Yeah.
to Minnesota, and so
Ah.
yeah, so I want to catch one, maybe the next year or whatever. Do y'all do 3 a year? Is that how y'all do it, or?
Well, last year was our first year, and we just started with one in the Tulsa area. So
Okay.
that's where we are. And so this year we bumped it up to 3, and we would love to just keep growing. It's such a fun event. It's just wonderful. It'll bring tears to your eyes just being there and like feeling the buzz of teachers all around.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Now, Jerry Brooks was at the last one.
Yes, I have to correct you. It's actually Gary Brooks.
It's actually Gary. All right,
Yes.
Gerry is Gary. Okay.
Well, I know it sounds and looks like Jerry. And our first year when we did it, we were all backstage like, hey, Jerry, hey, Jerry. And then he finally was like, hey, guys, my name's Gary with a hard G. And we were like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And then so we went out on stage and we introduced him as Gary. And then there was like this whole weird energy over the audience where they were all whispering to each other and like uncomfortable because they thought we were mispronouncing his name by saying it Gary. And they were like so
Oh,
embarrassed for us.
oh my!
But
There
anyway,
was like a room full of teachers wanting to correct you. Yes. Oh my goodness. Hey, what makes him so special? Like people love. Like again, I'm not in the field. I'm just a guy who's been impacted by teachers and
yeah.
loves local schools and believe in what it does for a community, a city. But I know that people love Gary Brooks. Like, what is it about him?
I saw it this time. Like when he came in, he entered the lobby where teachers were like getting their t-shirts and signing up for things and getting a drink and all that kind of stuff. And he walks in and I see women throw their bags down and run for him and just like immediately like, can I have a picture? Can I have a picture? Can I have a picture? I mean, he's like, I don't even know how, it's like Taylor Swift. He is so loved.
He's the Taylor Swift of education.
Taylor and Gary, same people. No, but it was so funny. He's magnetizing. Like people love him, and so it's so fun. He was so generous with his time that he stayed out in the lobby and let every teacher who wanted to take a selfie with him take one with him. He's just, I don't know. He sees teacher. He's so relatable. Like you, when he talks, you can be like, oh, I've been there. Yep, I know exactly what he's saying.
Because he was a teacher forever, right? Or is he
Yes,
still a teacher?
principal. He
A
is.
principal.
I believe he's. I can't remember. I know he was doing like he moved down to being an assistant principal so he could go on different traveling dates and stuff like that. But I'm not sure what he's doing now. I'll have to find out.
Got you. That is so cool. Now, why did you all decide to do events? Are so hard, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm a pastor of a church, and so
Okay.
essentially we have an event every Sunday, so to speak, right?
Mhm.
And so I just know how hard it is, but so rewarding. Like
Ah,
there's like at the end of the day, like once the events happened, and you
yes.
just like sitting there and taking it all in, it's worth it. But I know that it's hard. Why events? Like what did you all see in events to help accomplish your mission?
Just getting in front of more teachers so we can actually see like in crowds, bringing people together so we can say who we are and also so we can just love on them too, but just to say who we are, because really to amplify the voices of teachers, which is our mission, we need lots of teachers to be a part of this community. We need lots of teachers to do that. And so that events are just one way that we can get people. And honestly, like I said before, we just want to love on our teachers and just be like, you are valuable, you are loved, you are worthy. All of these things, just speak that life into them that, we get beat up a lot of time in the education field, a lot of time in the education
Hmm.
field, as you know. And so we just wanted to provide a positive, fun event where we all can get together.
Yep. What have y'all learned that makes events amazing? Like, what? I mean, I know that you haven't done a gazillion of them, but
Yeah.
what's that thing that you like? Okay, this is what makes event awesome.
I think getting to see people from different schools, like when they see each other, maybe they taught together previously or something, or they just know each other from conferences or something. When you see each other, like, they embrace, they hug, they reconnect, and just getting to bring those groups together. There was actually at the last event we did, there was a woman that I had gone to a teaching institute. It's called the Colonial Williamsburg Teaching Institute when I was teaching fifth grade social studies. And I went and I met this woman there, and I haven't seen her in 10 years, but we saw each other at the event. And we were just like, oh my goodness, it's you. And we got to come together and we saw each other again after the event, and just knowing that like we saw the same message, we heard the same things, we laughed at the same jokes, we probably teared up at the same times, and just knowing that we all received that message from all of our different places. I mean, that's probably my favorite thing.
Yeah, for sure. That's incredible. Yeah, events are amazing. That's the reason I love to greet, because you get people all in one place, and like
Yes,
a podcast, there's potential of reaching gazillion people, right?
yeah,
But there's nothing like being face to face, high fiving, hugging, like what you're saying. And so, yeah,
yes. Tell
that's so
me more
cool.
about your Heady greets. I know your listeners probably know all about it, but I want to hear more about this.
Yeah. So again, I'm a big time encourager, and I can't. So as I don't know when it. Oh, so I used to host an event called We Tell Stories,
Okay.
and we started in like 2000, 2003, and we did it for about 15 years. And We Tell Stories essentially was my way of Well, what happened was I was in AmeriCorps. AmeriCorps, my specific work was around literacy. I started learning all these different things about people not reading, and I'm not a big time reader, but I'm a reader, and I was like, oh, I want to figure out how I can encourage people to read, but I also love to bring people together, and so long story short, I started this event called We Tell Stories, but when we would get feedback, we would ask people what made the event awesome for them. And they would always say, the way you made us feel when we came in the door. Because I would always be out there greeting, saying hello, and all this stuff. And from that, I'm like, oh my goodness, just the greeting aspect could be the difference maker for an event. Like how you make people feel when they come in could change the whole dynamic of the thing. And so, uh, I just love it so much, and so I just like I'm gonna create a way that people will bring me in to greet for their events, and also just gives me opportunity to connect with people. It's the
Yeah.
best. I tell people who are looking to network, I'm like the best networking you can do is let somebody hire you to greet at an event.
Wow.
Because everybody's gonna question like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm here to greet, and so yeah, Heady greets. I'll do birthday parties, concerts, uh, workshops, whatever. If there's an entrance and you need somebody there to say hello, I'm all in.
I love that because honestly, I am I by myself, like when I'm alone at home with my husband, I'm much more like chill and introverted. But in my classroom, I can always like pull out that extroversion and be that dynamic teacher that you want to be, you know. But when I'm in a big crowd, that is really hard. So you would come in very handy to have that like small talk is like a nightmare for me.
Okay. Yeah.
So you would
Yeah.
be so good. I need to learn your ways. I need to watch you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, my wife now, she says, honey, you're going to go in first when we go into a room. You go
Yeah.
into first, get it all out. Cause I got to go say, even if it's not, I'm not supposed to be greeting. I've learned not to do it as much now, but I want to go around and say hello to everybody, fist bump
Yeah.
everybody. And like, now, is this your event? I'm like, no, I just want to say hello. So it's just, and then I come back out and get her, and then we can walk back in. It's just what I don't know. It's just part of what my personality. Just love
Yeah,
people,
it's a gift.
but people don't understand. Like I get home, I'm chill. Like I don't have to be around people. Like
Yeah. Okay,
I love
really?
it. Yeah, yeah.
Interesting. Well,
I don't.
I didn't know. I assumed like you were just like you loved people, the
Oh
vibe of it
yeah, yeah.
all,
No,
and
yeah. That's
yeah.
what most people think. Like I'm like I don't. I wouldn't say I'm an introvert, but I don't have to be around people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I hear
But when I am, I just see people in a way that I'm like, and you just never know who's going through something or whatever. And so, just a nice acknowledge. So I wrote a ebook called Hello, and it's a hello, a letter to teachers. And hello is all about those teachers who would say hello. Like I was a pretty honorary kid and didn't,
that.
yeah, I was that kid. And so, but there was something about, now I didn't recognize this until I was older, but the teachers that I was most connected to would be the teachers who would still say hello, essentially acknowledge me, look me in my eyes, even after being a hoodlum, right? Even at the day before, I was a knucklehead. I wasn't doing the right things, but the next day they come and say hello to me and look me in my eyes and acknowledge me and let me know that they still value me. They still see me as,
Oh,
and so I think that has carried over too, into just people just want to be acknowledged, and a simple hello can make a difference in somebody's life because they know you see them. So
I agree. Oh,
yeah,
yes, 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 yes. And just I've started acknowledging, like if I am looking around and see, someone put in effort that
yeah,
day or like they're looking great or just like they have this vibe about them, I want to point those things out. I think now that this is coming out of my mouth, I haven't really put thought to this before, but as a teacher, I wanted, I mean, my goal and purpose was to speak life and truth into my students and point out things that they might not see about themselves,
yeah,
and point out and to look inward and to see like,
right.
no, actually that was a really cool thing that you were just thinking about. Let's explore that more and just point out and make them notice the things that make them incredible and make them awesome. And since I'm not in the classroom doing that every day, I'm wondering if I'm taking that out on the public. So I'm just like, hey, love your shoes. Hey, look at you. I love your whole vibe. I love everything.
Yes, yes, yeah. As soon as I can, I'm trying to find something I can compliment about somebody.
Yes.
Like as soon
And
as I walk up on them.
it's not BS. It's like
Yeah,
legitimate.
no,
Like
yeah,
I'm wanting to like recognize you and let you know I see you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's exactly it. I think for me, it's like I see you, and if you can acknowledge something on a person, I think it even registers even more with them that you see them. And
Yes.
and I think teachers who do that well win, right? And maybe not so much with 2 plus 2, but just
Yeah.
life impact. And I
Yeah.
always say like the reason I admire teachers probably more than them teaching a subject is just the opportunity that they get to invest in kids in
Yeah.
life skills and
Yes.
it could be the next leader that this teacher's making a difference in. Because I really, to be honest with you, I can't remember like what teacher taught me something really well.
Oh, I
But
know.
what
Yeah. Yeah.
but I do remember the teachers who acknowledged me by saying hello and I think teachers have that they can be, I mean my uncle talks about a teacher who got him to fall in love with math and now he's an engineer.
Ah,
So there's those different stories and that's the reason I wanted this is so important to me is like how do we invest in teachers, how do we support the people who are investing in teachers, how do we tell those stories, how do we and also I look at schools as the centerpieces of community.
yeah.
When people are thinking about moving to my community they call me, the first thing they ask about what are the schools like. They don't ask
Mhm.
about the grocery store. They don't ask about the streets. They don't ask me about the city manager or who's on the
Yeah.
council. They asking about schools, right? And so I'm
Yes.
like, I gotta invest. I gotta help keep teachers because it's the centerpiece for our community.
That's right. And building community pride
Yeah.
starts in the schools
Yes.
too. I mean,
Yes.
that through games and just whatever and competitions between other schools. I mean, that
Yes.
really builds a community sense of pride and
Yes.
brings people together. So yeah, I agree. I think schools are powerful, powerful places.
Yeah, now I know y'all do events, but you also do podcasting. You do this. You just
Uh-huh.
earlier you mentioned that this is your first time actually being on the other side of the table. Somebody
Yeah.
asking you questions, and you're trying to flip it on me. I see what you're doing there,
I
and I
can't
have
help
a
it.
habit of doing that. You start asking the person questions, but and let me just say to the listeners and everybody, or if you're watching, there may be an alarm going off here in a little bit. My wife's alarm's probably going to go off in a little bit. Now I don't know how long it's going to go because sometimes I have to say. So if I say honey, you just know I'm just trying to make
Yeah,
sure that
this
she go
is
ahead and gets
real
up.
life, people.
This is real. I'm a real life kind of person. There
That's
ain't no
right. That's
faking the
right.
funk around here. So, but podcast, what's your favorite thing about? I love this. I love podcasting.
I
What's your
do too.
favorite thing about podcast, or for you all as an organization? What does it mean to you all?
Oh, for me is 100% stories. The stories that I get to hear, that I get to bear witness to, and just seeing teachers who are just in their mind. And I hate that I said just teachers. Blech, that's not what I meant. But seeing teachers who are just people who think, yeah, I'm just doing my job. And that's how they think of themselves. Like, I'm not doing anything special. I'm just doing my job. And then when you ask certain questions and start getting information and start being like, well, hold on. You just said something there that I want to talk more about. And when you really start digging into that, you start seeing just the immense experience and the lessons that these people have learned and the growth that they've had and how the wonderful expertise that they offer. And they don't often even see that in themselves until we kind of like bring that out of them and be like, hold on, that is awesome. Like,
Yeah,
what you are doing is life changing. Like, you are
yeah,
changing the trajectory of these students' lives by the way that you're interacting and the love that you're showing them and the relationships that you're building with them. And so hearing the stories and bringing teachers' attention to like how badass they are really is just it's so fun. It's so fun. I love podcasting. And then for our organization, for Relate and Educate, we love, just like I said earlier, to get actual teacher voices out there, and hearing teachers talking to other teachers, because our audience is mostly educators,
Yeah.
and maybe my sister or something. But um getting teachers connected to and hearing other thing that's working in their classroom or working in their lives, that they like things that they've struggled with or whatever. It's powerful. We learn, we grow from stories. I can confidently say that the podcasts that I have listened to have really opened my mind, have
Mhm.
changed the way I think, have just expanded any experience that I have, and I hope to provide that to our listeners also.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it that you've learned gets you to, like, how do you discover the right questions to ask? Is it is it more research, or is it more like in the moment kind of? I'm more of a in the moment, like
Yeah.
as I'm sitting here listening, talking to you, like my next question comes out of that. Are you more of an intentional? We craft the questions. Like I have questions, like, but
Yeah.
oftentimes it's just this.
Yeah. That's exactly how ours go too. It's more than anything just an open conversation, that we're
Yeah.
just having, that we just happen to be recording, and it's just like a little blip of time. But I do have some questions. And if someone has a big social media presence, I'll look on there and, ask them specific questions regarding to that. But for the most part, I like to just talk to them as
Yeah.
humans, and we just have these
Yeah.
human connections with one another. So that's
Yeah.
kind of
That's
how
really
we do
good.
it.
That's good. Now, on your talking about social media, on your social media, on your Instagram, you have this quote. And I want to read this quote to you,
Okay.
just tell me what comes to your mind or why you put it there. Do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better.
Mm. Maya Angelou. Oh, that is truly how I try to live my life. I
Yeah.
have heard that quote for many years, but I would say in 2020, when things just became so big where you couldn't ignore things, some social justice issues and just the political unrest, and just since then, that quote has been like tattooed on my heart, because
Yeah.
2020 started to open my eyes in a way that I hadn't, like, I was exposed to more things that I hadn't been exposed to before. I learned more things that I had never learned before. And so I want to go about my day doing the absolute best I can. But then once I know better, once I've heard the information and I've
Yeah.
heard the people's stories and I've
Yeah.
seen the things with my own two eyes, then I have to then be better. Like, I have to let that then inform how I'm going to live my life. It's so very important. So once you know better, then you do better. And that's kind of just an accountability thing to just keep playing in your mind. And I don't know, that's just it's on my heart. It is how I desperately try to live my life. And I want to keep growing and learning. I don't want to be someone who's
Yeah.
stagnant and who just stays. I want to keep growing and changing and evolving, and, learning about other people's experiences too. And then once I've been informed about that, it has to then inform the way I live. It has to.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, I just saw that quote. I was like, I'm gonna ask her about that quote, and so
Oh, well, thank
when
you.
I saw that, talk to me about the team at Relate then Educate. Like, are you all full time? Or y'all some of y'all contract? I know Katie Kinder's kind of she's a speaker, and so she just kind of
Uh-huh.
works with you all. But talk to me how y'all make your team up, and what's the big picture there?
Yeah. Well, oh, Katie Kinder, first of all, we are huge fans. She contributes so much to Relate and Educate. We would love to grow and have people on staff, but we're still in the growing process. We're still figuring that out, getting our name out there, getting teachers interested and involved. And but we would love to have, I mean, to be honest, we have just kind of followed what works. So we'll
Yep.
try a bunch of different things. And then what works, the podcast was working. So we really went hard on that. Teachers Night Out went really well last year. So we went hard on that. So we're
Smart.
kind of still like following the waves to see where our future is going to lead us.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Like I'm that same kind of way. I'm just like, I'm gonna try something. And if it catch, we'll
Yeah.
do that. We'll go with that.
Yes.
We'll go with that. Now, are you all just for people listening? Maybe they can donate, or are y'all for or buy product? Are you for profit or nonprofit? How?
We are for profit.
Okay,
We're for
great,
profit. Yes. And so
great.
that's the thing is we have Rick has so many amazing ideas. All have ideas that we'll like be pitching and we'll be talking to, but we need money to do it. We need money to be able to do a lot of our ideas. So, like making videos, to get videos out there. Like that would be, Rick is an amazing, talented marketer, and getting, videos of teachers talking so that can be another way that we're amplifying the voices of teachers. But, we're just trucking along and doing the best we can with what resources we have.
For sure. Yeah, and so I just want to say that for the listeners, go to their what's your website? Your website
Is
uh,
relatetheneducate.com.
yep, and then go to shop. You can click on shop, and they have merch there that you can buy. And I think this is just a great way to support them. Because for me, I know you're for profit, but man, you're doing work. Yeah, I love the hoodie that you're currently rocking. If you're listening on audio, Erin has on a cool hoodie that is a Relate and Educate
Relate and
merch
Educate
line.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yay.
So check out those things, support them because we want to continue to support teachers and make sure teachers stay encouraged and thrive and be able to tell their story. So what are you learning right now to kind of do your work better? Like what are you doing to learn?
I am like outside of this, you mean?
Yeah, well, just in general, like what are you doing to be able to do this work that you're doing even that much better? Maybe as a speaker, as a event coordinator. What do those things look like?
Yeah, I kind of have cut back on the speaking, to be
Okay.
honest. I found out that my stage fright is for real,
Oh,
and
got you, got you.
and so I don't. We do a lot. Like Rick speaks, and we'll hire people like Katie, and Joe Lane is another teacher that we call in to help and to speak, that are wonderful, wonderful voices. Um, but I don't know, I'm trying to stay relevant and current and seeing what trends are happening in the education world to be able to talk about that and address that in our podcast, and get teachers takes on that kind of thing. And just like if there is a new teacher to follow, or a new teacher organization, or someone like you who is encouraging a million teachers a week, is that what you say?
That's what I want to encourage a million teachers weekly. So
That's
essentially,
so
like if
cool.
between Instagram, podcast, and all those, hopefully collectively, email list, I can say that I'm encouraging a million teachers weekly.
Reaching
I got
that.
a long way to go, but that's the goal. That's the mission.
Ah, I
Red
love that.
balloons, whatever.
Yes. And also I want to be able to encourage other businesses and other companies that are doing
Yeah,
stuff, that are doing good work in this field, that teachers could benefit from. Like I want to like have a community of sharing and figuring all of that out. There are so many people who have their heart has broken from the things that they have seen, things that they've experienced in education. And there are so many people that have this desire right now to really change the narrative and flip the script and love on our teachers and praise them. And unfortunately, it hasn't like reached out to the outside community fully yet.
yeah,
But there are so many people that are just wanting different and wanting better for our teachers and for our students. And so I want to stay very current with that and be able to, reach out to them and collaborate and see what we can do together, to build
yeah.
this.
Yeah, I love that you say that, because one of the things, since I've never been in a classroom. I say that I'm not a teacher, but I've taught like relationship classes for the
Mhm.
last
Mhm.
17, 18 years or whatever. So to me, there's that aspect of teaching, being a pastor.
Yes.
You have, you get the opportunity, but I'm starting to read books,
Yay!
around teachers and the
Yes.
work, and so I need you all's book with the stories and of impact. So I'm trying to learn, but I really enjoying this book, just
Ah,
talking about classroom management and
yes.
what that looks like, and how I really like the way that she has that laid out. It's really giving me a good perspective of what that looks like, but also just sitting down with teachers via the podcast. Have you heard of the book that Katie put together, Hallway Leadership?
I'm in it. Yes, I
Oh, okay,
contributed.
yeah, 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 yeah. So I coined that with Taylor Upchurch, who's the
Oh,
assistant principal
yes.
at Deer Creek, and so we were on the podcast, and he's telling me about how he's navigating leading, and a lot of what I was hearing was like he's in the hallways, right,
Yeah,
connecting with the teachers and fist bumping and all that, and I was like, I at some point I say hallway leadership, and Katie was like, I'm writing a book.
that's good.
She's
Ah,
smart enough to make it happen, right?
I
It is really,
know.
it's been really good to see. But yeah, that hallway leadership, and just trying to learn, like you're saying, how I can stay relevant and support
Yeah,
teachers and be able to have a little bit of teacher talk. I don't have to be a classroom master or anything like that, but to be able to
yeah,
encourage, I want to know a little bit.
that's good. And I think that that's so important because really we need people outside of the education field to be taking an interest for change to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's there's not enough of us for like we need people to join in on this bandwagon and vote with us and team up with us so that we can do this and change some
Have
things.
you heard? Have you heard of Teachers Off Duty podcast?
No, tell me.
I don't know much about it. I was looking up. I was seeing if you all's podcast was on YouTube, and I ran across them this morning, and I was like, oh, this looks like another connection that I need to have. Like, these people
Oh,
look like they're
cool.
rocking out. It looks like they host an event as well, like you all do.
Okay, say
But
it again. I want to write it down.
teachers
Okay.
teachers off duty podcast, ladies and
Teachers.
gentlemen, you go check it out. I haven't listened to one yet, but it looks like they're pretty fun.
Cool. Oh, I'm so excited. I would love to get to know those people.
Yeah, yeah. Check it out on YouTube. It looks like their podcast studio looks amazing, and so
Wow,
they must have some support or they're renting it out. But yeah, it looks
that's
good.
cool.
So yeah, um, what? So I really love that you said, you know what, I stepped away from speaking. Not love in the way that
Yeah.
you're not doing it anymore, but just self awareness, like versus trying to push yourself through something that brings angst and
Yeah.
anxiousness and all of that, and still discovering ways to accomplish the thing that your heart wants for teachers
Yeah.
and for this community of people. I just want to say kudos to you for being willing to make that change. But you're doing great on this podcast.
Well, see, this is just having like a conversation, just sitting across from someone. I can do that. It's just the big groups of adults. I could do big groups of kids. It's the big
That
groups
yeah,
of
that's true. That's true. Like you were a teacher, and
I
yeah, you're
know.
in front of kids, and but yeah,
Yes.
the adults is like, this is too much. I can't
Oh
do
my
it.
dude, it was we had a classroom management workshop and yeah, I was going to talk and I had an absolute full on panic attack standing in front of everyone and like my 30-minute long talk was like I just went through it so fast it was like 6 minutes or something and when it was over I mean this sounds very privileged I will acknowledge that but it was the worst day of my life it was awful and it just I don't know and I just thought like you said this brings up so much stuff in me like it's so hard for me to do it there are ways that I could like get what I'm wanting to happen out by bringing in really amazing speakers and
Yes.
letting them talk because that is not my forte. My forte is these like one-on-one or two-on-two conversations. I love that. And so yeah, I did have to kind of have some self-awareness to be like I'm not doing this to myself anymore. It's
That's
not worth it. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
kudos to you. Way to go. Way to go. Like that, I feel like somebody listening probably who just got a relief because
Oh,
oftentimes I think that yeah, people start seeing what everybody else is doing and feel like they have to do that same
yeah.
thing where it's like, no, you may be amazing at doing something completely different. And so do that, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, no, way to
And then
go.
when I work with someone like Katie Kinder, who is like speaker extraordinaire, that girl at Untold Teaching Truths, y'all need to follow her. She is incredible. And like, I've heard her speak. I've heard her say the same thing so many times that every time I hear it, I'm moved and I'm challenged and I'm excited. And so when I have someone like her at my disposal, why not let her take center stage and like educate
Yes.
wonderful teachers?
Yes. And then people are gonna like you as an organization, as a brand, like
Yeah.
they're gonna remember who brought that person in, or you remember
Yeah.
at that, teachers night
That
out,
was,
that
yes.
amazing. Yeah, so way to go. I love that. A successful teacher, finish this for me. A successful teacher needs to what?
A successful teacher needs to recognize the importance of building relationships with your students and also facilitating relationships among your students.
Mm. Facilitate relationships among your students. Is
Yes.
that like them
Like,
being able to?
yes. And so
Yeah.
you can build your community, your family. That's something that I actually have learned on the podcast is because you talk so, it's a buzzword to talk about building relationships with your kids, but there's been several people that have come on and talked about how important their work is when they are facilitating ways for kids to work together, for kids to problem solve together,
Mm.
for kids to, figure out stuff together so that they're going through those growing pains together and becoming a community. Because I have had the privilege of having those classrooms where it all clicks, where you and your kids are on a great page, they are on a great page with one another, and you can get so much done and so many and powerful, impacts can happen because they're with you and they love one another and they're excited to learn and they're excited for each other to learn. And so, yes, facilitating relationships among each other, among the students is so important. And I think if I were to ever go back in the classroom, I would definitely have that on the forefront of my mind more than I did
Wow.
before.
Wow. That's man, I don't know if I've ever heard anybody talk about that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the importance of just really facilitating that
Yes.
relationship between the students and yeah, because sometimes I think now hold on, I'm not a teacher, ladies and gentlemen. This is just us talking. This is just because I think sometimes the big challenge is me coming to school and not having relationships in the class, like because really you could maybe you're the teacher's pet or you can have your teacher loves you or whatever, but man, there's nothing like thriving amongst friends and your
Yes.
peers that really brings
Yes.
you confidence. And oftentimes you can get teased if you have a great relationship with the teacher
You're
and not with
right.
anybody, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool. I don't know if you remember or recall, but was there some ways that these teachers talked about how they did that?
Through, oh, yes. There is one teacher who, Monty Syrie, he talked about every day at the beginning of class, they're able to share their highs and their lows. And so every kid has the opportunity to share, the greatest thing that happened in their life so far, or, not in their life, but so far in their day. And then also, something that not so good, something that's struggling, and they also have the power to pass if they don't feel comfortable to share anything. And so they'll go around the room and very, very quickly, they like within just a couple of weeks, they will start listening and caring and really, and they'll follow up with their friends when they hear these low things or their high things. And this is high school kids that he's teaching, and
Yeah.
they're just building these empowering relationships with one another. And even he was sharing some of the things that his students would write, later on and be like, this was awesome. Never stop doing that with your kids because we have learned so much through that. So, yeah, building those human connections. Sorry, building those human connections and letting and being human in front of your students is so.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah, that's good. So good. Um, do you have a story that has come out of the work you've done, not as a teacher, but as by doing this that you want to share? Maybe there was a teacher that kind of has shared with you all the work you're doing has made an impact on them, or have y'all had anything like that? A story that you could share?
yes, we have had, or well, something that just popped in my mind is I have loved. I told you how just in our little bubble of Tulsa, Oklahoma, there's a wealth of amazing teachers. Every single teacher that we've talked to has been amazing and has, given us so much wisdom. And so it's been interesting and fun because there's a couple people that I went to high school with and that grew up to be teachers, but we didn't really stay connected or anything, or we weren't really that good friends in high school. But you stay Facebook friends and Instagram friends and all that kind of stuff. And so I've reached out to them and be like, this is weird. We haven't talked in 15, 20 years, but would you want to be on the podcast? And without fail, they all have come. And it's been so interesting to get to know these people as adults that I
Yeah.
knew of in high school, and then it also just proves that it's just like one teacher is a drop in the bucket of a million wonderful other teachers too. And so that's something that I have learned and just recognized that we are just surrounded by amazing, amazing educators. It's not rare to find an amazing educator. It's very, very easy to.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's good. You saying that, going, pulling from teachers from your hometown that you grew up with. I
Yeah.
have a podcast called Guthrie America Podcast, and I say that
Oh,
I'm on a mission to have every story told of the people who are doing life in my community or from my community. And so it's
cool.
cool to sit down with people that I maybe went to high school with or I've seen in all my community all my life and really learn about them. Like just from asking these people, I'm like, oh, I never knew that. So
Yeah,
it's been really cool. So I can imagine what that's like for you.
that's neat. Oh my goodness. I love that. I love that you're doing that. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really good. What should people know? Like a couple of more questions. What should people know um, about teachers? What is something that you like? This is what people should know about teachers.
What people should know about teachers is they cry and sweat and bleed over other people's children. That they love so deeply, they care so much, and they are really truly trying to do what is best by these children and their families. And there is not a teacher out there that is indoctrinating. I guess I can't say there's not a teacher out there, but the norm is that there is not a teacher out there that is doing these things that they're being accused of indoctrinating students or anything. But no, they are there, they are showing up early, they are staying late, they are sacrificing times with their own families so that they can take care and do what is best by your children. And so that's powerful to me, and
Yeah,
also should be celebrated. We should be like, how amazing is it that we have people who love who love our kids so much, that
yeah,
who loves my kid like I do and really wants the best for my kid. Like, I wish that was appreciated more.
yeah, yeah. That's so good. Um, I do these red balloons.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and so essentially, so one of my good buddies, his name's Derek. Um, he
You're
said, "Hey, I want
excited.
to be yes, yes,
Yes, I
yes,
know him. I met him.
yes." He says, I want to be a red balloon ambassador." And Derek's one of these guys. He's gonna come up with ideas. It's like,
Yeah.
so he's trying to add to the red balloon. I was like, Derek, the thing that these teachers want to know is why they're appreciated. And so
Uh-huh.
on it, when you nominate a teacher, you got to say why. Like, what is it about this teacher that we should?
Mm.
In those notes, those couple of sentences on the why, is
Yeah.
way more than the red balloon, the cookies, the gift card or whatever. It's like just letting them know why they're appreciated has been the thing that I've gotten the most responses back. Like, thank you
Ah,
for that. Thank you for letting me know. It's like, well, it wasn't me. It was because I don't know these teachers, but I mean, I think it's so like you said, like these teachers are doing so much and sometimes don't feel acknowledged or appreciated. And so it's peer to peer normally. It's another teacher
yeah.
nominating another teacher, and I think that has been cool as well for
That
those
is.
teachers to be able to do that. So
Oh,
thank
I
you.
love it. I love that you're doing that.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay, one last question for
Yeah.
us out there who are trying to figure out how to continue to support teachers, how to come alongside awesome people like you yourself and Rick. What's one book, maybe book or whatever you would say, do this so you can learn to support teachers better? What is it that the world needs to know that you can do?
Goodness. Well, first of all, let's listen to our teachers and vote like our teachers want to vote because they are who's there with your students and listening and aware and know what's going on. So let's let our votes match our support for our teachers. And also, I know this is a shameless plug, but if anyone reads the Relate and Educate book, I know it will tug at your heart and it will expand your mind on like just wow, these teachers do so much and there's so much insight and wisdom in here. So our Relate and Educate book honestly would be a great gift, like the holidays are coming up and it's so good and you can read these stories just one off. You don't have to read the whole book or at one sitting or anything like that. They're just a bunch of different chapters from a different teachers and it's wonderful, it's life-changing. And honestly, the books that you were holding up, hallway leader or talking about hallway leadership, untold
Yeah.
teaching truths, those are they are truly wonderful books and it makes me so proud that like I know the author of a lot of these books because they're so powerful. So
That's so good. So good. Erin, how can people buy the book? Like, where do we need to go to get it?
you can buy books anywhere that you would purchase books, which would be, like Amazon, all that kind of stuff. But we recommend shopping through local bookstores. Tulsa has a great bookstore, Magic City Books, that has our book there. We did our book signing event there at Magic City Books, and it was great. So, yeah, you can buy, relate, and educate anywhere you buy books.
That's awesome. Where should people follow you on social media? All the stuff.
Okay, on Facebook and Instagram. We're mainly on Instagram, but we do Facebook also. And we are at Relate Then, and it's THEN. So Relate Then Educate. And then our website, relatethaneducate.com.
That is so awesome. Now, so this is a social media question since you just mentioned that. Why mainly Instagram and not Facebook?
Well, I don't know, with the content that we're posting, which is a lot of images and pictures, it just seems like we get more interaction and more stuff on Instagram. Facebook, there's not as many followers. I don't know. I think that what we're doing and what we're promoting is supported well on Instagram.
Yeah,
So
I love your Instagram. I'm scrolling through it right now. Just the imagery,
mhm.
like you said, just pulls people in. You're like, what in the world? It just feels like a whole bunch of energy
Yeah.
going on, and so yeah, it's really good. What software y'all using for your podcast? I see where it's typically you is it you, Rick, and then the guest, and I see that y'all have three. Is that a picture like that, or is that how you all do your podcast? Is it similar to
That's
something
how
like
we
this?
do our podcast. Yeah. We'll in person, we'll be together, but then on
Yes.
our digital ones, we just will take a screenshot and that's our picture that we
Yeah.
posted.
Yep. What software y'all using?
Oh, Riverside FM.
Oh
Do you
yeah,
know that
yeah,
one?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I've tried out Riverside. Yeah, that's really good. I'm just scrolling through Instagram right now just to see if there's anything else I want to ask you based on Instagram. Yeah. Uh huh. Nope. It looks good. Looks good. Thank you so much. Continue to do the
Oh,
amazing work that you all do. I'm grateful we're now friends. When I'm in
Yeah,
Tulsa, we need to grab coffee. Now you're in Tulsa. Where are you at? Tulsa, Bixby? Where you at?
I'm in Broken Arrow
Broken
technically,
Arrow.
but
Okay.
yeah, Tulsa area.
Well, I
So
probably will definitely be in Broken Arrow probably in the spring. I'm typically down there like twice a year
okay,
for we do these events called Well Springs, and
uh-huh,
we come to Broken Arrow, Tulsa area
okay.
to do at least 2 or 3 a year. So
Well, cool. I would love to meet you. I feel like we're friends already. So
yeah,
once we meet each other, it's gonna be like, buddy.
yes, we're in the same kind of work. So yeah, well,
Yeah.
let's keep it up. What is Ed Talks?
Oh, Ed Talks. It is educators getting together, kind of like TED Talks, but educators. And we're doing that this weekend in Fayetteville at the University of Arkansas. We're going to be there listening to the Ed Talks, to the teachers that are giving their speeches. And then we're going to be doing our live podcast there. And we're going to be talking to the speakers also. They're, amongst the hubbub of the event that's going on and everything. So we're really excited about Ed Talks this weekend in Fayetteville.
Awesome. Erin, thank you so much. And
Hey,
ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for hitting that play button for another episode of the Heady Coleman podcast. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, go win.